Welcome to Bruins Diehards, your source for all things Boston Bruins. Today on the show, as you can see, I got my main man, Brian DeFelice, with me, and we're going to be recapping the Bruins game for the last two ones, because I haven't really talked to you since those last two, and I think it's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. We're going to talk about the Bruins' second line. I wouldn't say it's underrated to Bruins fans, and maybe the league is just catching up, but I want to talk about the Bruins' second line. I also want to talk about David Pastrnak is the fifth best player in the NHL, and we don't act like he is. And we'll get into that. And also, after looking at some ice time and the way the Bruins struggled last night, is it time for James Hagens? We're going to talk about all this and more on the latest edition of Bruins Diehards. As always, thank you so much for clicking, liking, subscribing, leaving your names in the comments, talking to us all the time. I truly appreciate it. Checking out Brian's channel. I know I see you guys in those comments over there. I appreciate you going over and checking out his stuff as well. Let's get into it. Well, Brian, welcome back to the show. I think this is your third
time.
So you are now tied with Evan for the most appearances on Bruins Diehards.
That's humbling, Court. Appreciate that nod. Yeah, I love talking hockey anytime, and especially with you. There's no better way to start your Friday morning, no?
Yes, on a beautiful, beautiful holiday Friday. Let's just take the win here. Not gonna lie though, I do have to work later, just for a little bit. I just got caught up in everything yesterday, and I had to tell my daughter, I was like, I'm gonna do the podcast first thing in the morning. I promise. I'm like, then I'm gonna work for a little bit. I'm like, just need an hour, and then I promised to take her to the batting cages today. My daughter wants to learn how to play baseball.
Nice.
Yeah, out of nowhere, she wants to learn how to play baseball.
Yeah, Court. People around New England may know of this hidden gem, but there's a mini golf course, batting cage, go-kart place in Litchfield, New Hampshire called Mel's, and the batting cage is a Green Monster replica. It's obviously, to scale. It's not the actual. It's actually pretty.
Does it have
big,
the
though.
Monster Energy drink symbol on it? Because I heard that's a thing now.
Oh, you know what? Probably not, because Mel's was built. Mel's has been around since at least like the mid 2000s, so it's probably there might be a Pepsi Cola thing still up there, but it's a really fun place. So speaking of the batting cages, but that's awesome. Baseball's amazing. I obviously played hockey growing up, but there was nothing like when hockey season ended, and then you get those first 65-degree days, and you dust off the mitt and hit the field. It's a great sport, and kids really should play as many sports as possible growing up.
100%. It's interesting because my daughter wants to play hockey year round, but I didn't put her in a league this year. Sorry for people. We'll get into the show, I promise. I didn't put her into a league this off season. Her season comes to an end next weekend. She has provincials. It's a end of the year tournament. Her team qualified for it, and then that's it. Tryouts are the following week. While I'm going to be in Hawaii, people, I will be off for a week. I'll try and get some stuff up. I'll try my best, but I am going to Hawaii. It's much needed, but I asked her and she said she wanted to play hockey, but then she said to me, she's like, we have a pool. So she's like, I want to swim. She's like, I want to learn how to play baseball. She loves track and field, and she's tried out for her basketball team at school. She's like, I just want to try a bunch of different things. I said, that's amazing. As long as you're motivated and want to continue to do this, I'm all for it, because I think you need some time off from being on the ice. Like, she'll still be on the ice. She's got hockey camps, but that competitiveness, maybe just dial it down a little bit. And yes, learn how to play baseball with the Toronto Blue Jays being better than the Boston Red Sox here in Toronto.
Easy.
We have baseball fever here. And I've loved baseball for years. It's my second favorite sport. It's just, I love the fact last year she started learning how she wanted to play catch with me, and now all of a sudden she's like, can I learn how to hit the ball? And I'm like, okay, because that's a step, right? So if she likes it, there's still time. So I want to take her to the batting cages right now to see if I can put her in a league. But yeah, what's your Easter weekend plans?
Easter weekend is just with the family on Sunday. Nothing crazy. Parents do a brunch. They're Italian. Well, my father's side's Italian. My mom is not, but she cooks like an Italian. And so they do all sorts of, meatballs and lasagnas and stuff like that. And yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, hopefully the Bruins, it maybe turn their mind off, because we got a Jekyll and Hyde team here, Brian. We got a game where I don't know what it is. They play against good teams. They play well. Yeah. And then when they play a bad team, they play down to them, I think is the best way to describe what we're seeing from this Boston Bruins team. I'm actually a little bit dumbfounded by it. it kind of makes no sense to me. Like the team we see against Minnesota, Columbus, and Dallas are nothing compared to the team that we just watched against the Florida Panthers last night. Now, here's my take real quick because I want to get your take from it. The Bruins didn't show up for the first period. They're two costly giveaways in the back of their net. And Swayman, I'm not going to blame the goaltending for any game for the last since January. I think our goaltending has been keeping us in hockey games. I won't go there because two giveaways put the puck on the back of the net, especially that last one, that Bennett one. I'm like, I don't know, bad bounce, but still, like,
Yeah.
why are we leaving him alone in the slot? They wake up in the second and the third, but it felt too little too late. I felt they underestimated the Florida Panthers going in the game. There's a lot to dissect from the game with regards to, Fraser Minton getting back on the board, but I thought Morgan Geekie got a lot of good looks, which is a good thing. I
Mm.
thought he started shooting it again instead of forcing passes, but they end up losing the game, which could have knocked the Florida Panthers out of the playoffs. They've got 6 games left in the season. They really just have to win one, and I think they're in. But I want to get your take. What did you see from three great games and then a big fart in the wind? That's what that game was last night.
Yeah. Well, prior to the Florida game, you had no choice but to give the Bruins their flowers, right? They had won 6 of their last 7 games, including, as you mentioned, really difficult opponents in Columbus and Minnesota and Dallas, even that Detroit game where they went into Detroit tied in the standings. The only difference was the Bruins had the regulation win tiebreaker, and that was a huge win at the time. The real stinker in the last 7 games prior to Florida was the Toronto game. But even long term, hey, if you're going to give 2 points away, might as well give it to the team you don't want to finish top 5. But yeah, the Florida game, Marco Sturm said it afterwards, and the Bruins just didn't respect their opponent. I think that was pretty evident when you're playing, 75% of a roster that's full of Charlotte checkers. And yeah, there's no doubt about it. But the Florida Panthers know how to win, regardless of who's in the roster. They've been to 3 straight finals, and obviously this year's not their year. And they're kind of using it as a rest and recovery season, which tip of the cap to them for embracing that. But yeah, the Bruins just overlooked their opponent. Of course, it was obvious.
Yeah, it was interesting because I thought Bobrovsky played well, but I didn't think he was like the way they were describing him on. I was like, he's not standing on his head. I'm like, the Bruins are taking a lot of shots from the perimeter. They're not clogging up the lanes. They did at the end, like Arvidsson's in front of the net and like Minton's goal was, a great rebound in front of the net. It's a great goal. Still, I mean, that rebound, sorry. Good feed from Pasta. Shocker, I know. But they didn't seem to have what we've seen from the Bruins. And maybe, winning Buffalo, Minnesota, Columbus, Dallas,
Buffalo too, yeah.
4 phenomenal teams in the NHL. One's top of the East, just very good teams. And maybe you can get a little bit of a letdown, especially we've noticed with the Bruins on the road. You go into Florida, which is definitely a rival, and Florida wanted to be spoilers here. They knew if the Bruins won this game, it would kind of put a stranglehold on it. And in fact, they kind of lowered the Bruins' chances at getting the Toronto Maple Leafs draft pick by winning that game too. Like it was like a double kick you in the lower extremities for those players playing the Florida Panthers. But I thought I wanted to take some positives from that game because I look at Fraser Minton getting back on the board, which was good to see. Yes, Morgan Geekie's 18 games. He's 18 games. And I saw a lot of people saying he needs to be in the press box, but I still like you never put a 30-goal scorer in the press box. I hate him on that third line. That's just me, but we'll get into later on in the video why I think we could fix that third line. But and Lindholm has been scoring, but I think what I saw from Geekie last night kind of made me feel better. I saw him taking chances. They were feeding him on the power play. Bobrovsky made that really nice save in him tight with his glove. Like he barely got on it, but I really like the move. Normally Geekie's trying to go 5-hole or he's almost like forcing it and trying to shoot off real quick. He tried to make a move there, and I appreciate that. 9 times out of 10, that goes in. And we have a tie game. So what do you see any positives from Geekie's last couple games that you think he might be getting off that schneid?
Yeah, here and there, here and there. I think, to be honest, there's been too much time where he just hasn't been generating, and that's what's really worrisome. When you see a player in a slump, and they're getting their looks, they just aren't converting, that's one thing, because you say, all right, it's just a matter of time. But far too much recently, I just feel like Geeky hasn't been getting those looks, and that's been problematic to me. However, there have been some games here and there where he has found a way to impact the score sheet with some important primary assists. The goal scoring, I agree with you. Last night against Florida, I didn't I didn't notice him at all until midway through the third period, and then I couldn't not notice him the rest of the way. So he started the game with Lindholm and Riechel, and then in the second period, Sturm put Pastrnak with them. Didn't really do much, and then he took Pastrnak away near the midpoint of the third period, and Geeky's next shift after that, he came out with his, well, he's got a shaved head, but I'll just use the analogy, with his hair on fire, and he was all over the place in a good way. And I said to myself, yeah, he was buzzing, and I said to myself, okay, if he can have shifts like this more consistently, then I don't think his goal scoring slump will last much longer. But he has to keep being consistent. He has to keep being just a hound. Like I feel like Geeky's game sometimes can be a little too perimeter because he's not the fastest player. He's not the best one-on-one player. He's got an amazing shot, but I feel like, and when he has time and space, he can make a play too. I just feel like Geeky is by nature a power forward with a 50-goal scorer's release. And I feel like he's getting away from that blue-collar power forward style that really is what he should be playing.
Yep. And yeah, because we had you had the Geeky Lindholm Pastrnak line, which 5-on-5 has been decent this year. It's been the third best line for the Boston Bruins. No shocker here. I'm pulling up from bench rates because for people who don't realize, Brian and I are recording this very early in the morning, and Money Puck decided to go down, which is just causing me havoc because that's where I get most of my advanced stats, and that's how you can analyze the game and really look into it. Arvidsson Pastrnak middle side line, best line on the Boston Bruins 5-on-5. Husadinov, Minton, Pastrnak, no shock there. Geeky Lindholm Pastrnak line is third. But you don't, that Riechel Lindholm Geeky line, it ain't good. It's the ninth, it's the ninth best line this year. The Steve's Lindholm Geeky line has performed better. So
yeah,
which is not good. And I'm using goals expected.
Okay.
It's not good if you're not performing that way. And it's interesting because I thought Lucas Reichel, you talk about Geeky being invisible. I think Reichel's been invisible for about a couple games now. And no offense to him, because I do really like his speed. And I'm just thinking because I feel the Bruins are playing a little bit of higher level hockey right now. They're playing playoff hockey, and Sturm said that after the Minnesota game. We're playing playoff hockey right now, and I truly believe him. I look at this and I see a glaring hole here because for people, Reichel played under a minute in the third period. He didn't touch that ice. He barely played in the third period. I'll get you his total time on ice, but I want to say to you, what do you think we can do to fix these lines? Because we've got the Minton Husadinov Pastrnak line. I think that's like set in stone.
I agree. You know, and I know you said Money Puck is down, and that is unfortunate because Money Puck, for those of you who don't know, it's outstanding. And when it comes to lines, you can break it down every combination that every team has used, and you can set a by minutes threshold. And so you can have, for example, a line combination that played together for one game and had 4 goals for and none against, and they'll be first in their in analytics, and it's not totally representative because it's one game. So you can set a minimum minutes played together. And yeah, Husnudinov, Minton, and Pastrnak, their goals for per 60 and their goals against per 60 delta is one of the best on the team. As you mentioned, the Zaka, Middlestad, Arvidsson line is the best.
Off the charts.
Who saw that coming?
No, I don't think anybody. I believe at the beginning of the year, even when I had you on the podcast the very first time, I called it we're not going to be around here after the trade deadline line. And now I'm calling it you're the best line in hockey, and everybody has egg on their face. Because if anybody, besides I'm never going to give up on this team type fan base, and
Mhm.
that exists. I get it. You're gonna rah no matter what. Looking at the numbers, you looked at Zaka as, oh my god, he could net you so much, and you looked at Arvidsson, and now we're all saying sign this. And Casey Middlestad has just been a very good compliment to them. But to go back to Riechel, he had 10 minutes in 3 seconds.
He had less than a minute and a third. That was his ice time in a third? I didn't realize it was that low. I mean, it makes sense looking back at it. He was stapled to the bench, but
he didn't touch that ice. So, like, you look at the ice time. McAvoy, obviously, a horse, 27 minutes.
yeah,
Pastrnak, 24 minutes. But I'll say this about Pasta. I felt Pasta kept trying to rely on the cycle to the point too many times on the power play when I felt he should be rimming around and going the other way. It was very interesting because and I felt that Florida was forechecking him that way. They would actually almost send two. Like when we pulled the goalie, they knew Pastrnak was going to the point every single time. I need them. Somebody watch the video, show Pasta that, and be like, hey, they're seeing your little play here, because whenever Pasta is on the half wall instead of on the point where I feel he should be, he's had a hard time lately because he's getting the double shift out of everything. Because by the time he's on the ice, I feel like Pasta's 2 to 3 minutes all the time. Like, he's out there a lot. Like, think about it. He's 24 minutes. He is the second highest ice time on the team, which he should be, because we'll talk about it later how I think Pastrnak is that good. But I look at the ice time and how it got divvied out last night, and like Hustadinov with 13 minutes and 46 seconds. But again, Bruins didn't get a lot of penalties, so, which is a good thing. But they got one. I just look at Lucas Reichel's ice time and I'm like, ooh, that's not good.
No. And to answer your question from a few minutes back, I think with the roster as currently constructed, I still think that the lines that they had going into Florida is probably, I know it's subjective and you could probably sway me on one or two other combinations, but I do think that those lines are the most appropriate right now, the best that Boston can probably put together with the personnel that is currently there. I do still think that Riechel is because I just, Core, I don't see nearly enough chemistry and speed and tenacity and execution with the geeky Lindholm and Pastrnak line. It just
agreed.
Minton and Hustadinov, they play at a pace and they hunt pucks at a level that helps David Pastrnak, because it allows Pastrnak to be the playmaker he is, instead of having to do. And Lindholm and Geeky they wouldn't retrieve pucks and they wouldn't back off defenders the way that those two guys do. So as constructed, I think the lines have to stay the way that they are. But I know that you have some other thoughts on that too.
Well, yeah, it's just, I just look at the way they're playing and I'm like, why the heck not? And you know what? I was going to save it to last, but I think I might as well, because I've gone down this Lucas Reichel thing. But because I just look at this team right now and I can't break up that second line. I can't. And you know what? Based on ice time, that second line is the first line people. They get more ice time.
Based on their analytics, they're one of the best lines in hockey.
Yeah, we'll get into that right after, because I think I've alluded way too much into what I think could fix you. I think we're almost at the point where we have to try, because there's only 6 games left, and I don't know, maybe it's worth it, because if the Bruins could have a first round matchup right now, and actually, I think playing the Buffalo Sabres makes. Right now they're playing. Let's see, who would the Bruins play? They would play Carolina.
I don't hate that series.
I don't hate that either. I don't hate that at all. And I actually think going through the Metro is the play. If the Bruins are going to do anything, they're going to dance, because then you got Pittsburgh Islanders first round. You got Ottawa that would have to play Tampa. Poor Ottawa Senators. Poor Linus Ullmark, who doesn't know what playoffs look like. But well, he does. He just doesn't play well in them. Yeah. I just like the Bruins' chances against the Carolina Hurricanes over the Tampa Bay Lightning. And if I'm the Boston Bruins and I say, hey, what's better for this team? Like you mentioned about that Minton, Hustadinov, Pastrnak line, that can be a line for a while. Like we don't have to break it up anytime soon. Yeah. And I think Hustadinov plays that Marchand role. I'm not saying he's Marchand. And I think Minton plays that Bergeron role. I'm not saying he's Bergeron. I'm just saying styles that helps Pastrnak, because if you're playing Pastrnak 24 minutes like you did last night, he can't be as effective. He's effective when he gets 18 to 20 minutes. That's when he's effective. 24 minutes, that's the defenseman. That's a lot of ice time for a guy, and you can't get what you want out of him, even though he's, first in the league in primary assists over Connor McDavid and one of the best passers in the league. I just think, is it time to bring in James Hagens? He looks above and beyond the best player on the ice for the Providence Bruins. He looks like he is skating and no one can skate with him. This is what I notice. You can pull up his stats and it's not jumping out of the face. He's not dominating. I'll be honest. He's not. He's now that site's not working. It's just the internet's not working today. He's got 4 points, 1 goal, 3 assists.
Yeah.
In 4 games, I believe. I'll double check that after if the internet starts working again. But I don't know. Hagens is a pure passer. Lucas Riechel isn't. Lucas Riechel is speed, skill. Lindholm is I just don't feel like he's got it lately. Even though he's scoring, he looks slower out there.
Yeah.
Do you think adding a skilled passer to that line with Geekie and Lindholm elevates it?
1,000%. 1,000%. I mean, the thing that Lindholm and Geekie aren't, and honestly, unless he's really on his game, Lucas Reichel really isn't either, is a play driver. Like Lucas Reichel, with his speed and his skill, if he's on his game, yes, he can drive some plays in transition, of course. Lucas Reichel also has only played court,
2 points, 1 goal, 1 assist. My apologies.
One goal, 1 assist for Hagens. Lucas Reichel's only played 14 games in the NHL this year because of his issues with Vancouver. So maybe he's catching up to speed, but even still, yeah, I think Hagens. I would like to see Hagens ASAP. I question if the Bruins are willing to do it. I honestly just don't know, because his most recent game against, was it Albany?
Yeah, that.
Or no, Utica.
Utica.
They used to be in Albany. It wasn't the best of his performances so far.
Correct.
But listen, James Hagens has the speed, the skill, and the playmaking that you simply just cannot teach. His skating, his edge work is amazing. What I've liked just as much, because those things I just mentioned, we all already knew about him. I've really been impressed by his details, Court. For a skilled player, he respects the game at a level that many skilled players his age don't. His back checking is there. He's positionally sound. He pressures puck carriers. He does all the little things that
I believe John Sweeney calls them the details.
The details. The piss and vinegar details. He does all the details that a fourth liner does to have a job at the NHL level, but he has the high end skill to go with it. And I just think that at 19 years old, not all players of his caliber offensively have those details. So yeah, listen, I think that Hagens is ready to at least start to learn at the NHL level. I just don't know if the Bruins will do it. I don't know if they really care that much about burning the first year of his ELC. It might just. I don't know what their hesitations would be, Core. I really don't. If it's not that, I don't know what they would be, especially when you're talking about him versus Lucas Reichel, who's not exactly, a two-way guy out there right now.
So I think if that's the first question you asked is like, what do we think the Bruins are thinking? And I think a lot of it has to do with, okay, do we want him to play a playoff long run in a Calder? And if we burn his ELC, is he going to stay in the lineup? Now, I think it's almost at the point of like, it's either you do it now or you don't do it at all. There's only 6 games left in the season. You don't want to bring him in for the last 2 games or something like that, or like, I just don't see you as a team wanting to do that. It's just not going to happen. I just don't think that's good for his development. I hate using examples, all the other players that are coming in on their ECLs. I don't care about burning guys' ECLs. When they had to do it with McAvoy, it was based on injuries. So say a player gets injured, I think James Hagens is the first one up. Sweeney seems to be going to his games all the time. They talk to him after the games. They're liking his play. They can't not, because I don't look at the point totals in 4 games and say, oh my God, he's terrible. I think he was playing better with Patra, but again, Merkulov looked really slow. It just looked like he couldn't catch up with them. And I think him and Potter just had to sync. But I felt like so far when I've watched James Hagens, there's just no one there that he can give the puck to and distribute that feels like could use his skill set. And I look at a guy that has struggled to score 18 in 18 games, and I'm like, oh my God, you know what he needs? A skill guy that can pass him the puck. Oh, wait, we have that guy that we have already said that is going to be part of this franchise for years to come. So why don't we just poop and get off the pot already? That's just the way I look at it. I'm all, if you really feel that he is going to be this guy, and the Bruins, yes, they're probably worried it's going to be developed. I don't think throwing him into some of the most best hockey the Bruins have to play is going to hurt him. I think it's going to help him. I look at Pastrnak coming into the playoffs the way he did. And yes, he talked about how he pretty much got caved in, but it taught him how to play hockey. I think if you want him to play, quote, piss and vinegar Boston Bruins hockey, and that's what you want from James Hagens in the future. And we know what happened when we brought McAvoy in after Krug went down, and it made him a better hockey player. I think it's time to bring James Hagens in. I truly do. I was all for having him go to Providence, going on the ATO. It made total sense. But at this point, he's played 4 games in Providence. All we hear is Mujanel. Everybody keeps raving about how his poise is, how his hockey IQ is. He's above that. I think he's exactly what that third line needs, because we both just said we can't change those first 2 lines. Those are the lines going in. Minton has looked phenomenal. Future 2C. If Hagens is the future 1C, Minton's the future 2C. I think Minton might scare people and might take it. We might have a 1A, 1B, but I think Minton has looked that good. But I think it's time for James Hagens.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a good problem to have if both of those guys are a 1C or 2C interchangeable, because Fraser Minton is on, he might get 20 goals this year, Corey. He's at 17 right now. So
I can't wait. I want him to get 20 goals so badly.
Yeah, he's a hell of a player. Hell of a player. So listen, if the Bruins were in a situation where they were a President's Trophy caliber team poised for a deep run like they have been so many times in years past, I think the whole argument of let James have experience for a Calder run down in Providence, I think that carries so much more validity. And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if that's how it plays out this year either. But to all the points you made, and if I'm James Hagens right now, I'm thinking to myself, the Bruins, there's a need for me. They could use me. Why am I not there? Why am I not there? I'm playing well in Providence. So there's a need. There's a need. So I think you have to call him up. I agree with you.
Yeah, I just look at it. I'm like, and you use the word need, and I think that's a better way to describe just saying is he's ready, because there is a need on that third line. There is a need for the type of skill that he brings. And you know what? It could not work out, but it kind of has to for the Bruins to do anything, because you've got the 2 lines going. That third line right now, one game it looks great, and as you said, Geeky looked great in the third period, but then Lindholm started slowing down again. It was like weird. Like Lindholm, they tried to throw Geeky back on the power play, and I felt that Pastrnak being on the half wall, I don't like it. I don't like him leaning there. I think he's better on the point, but I guess Geeky needs to be that shot, the perimeter shot. But we'll see. We'll see. They could figure it out because they need to figure out this power play. But hey, maybe James Hagens on the second PP unit is the answer there as well. I look at James Hagens and I feel like the Boston Bruins, they didn't do a lot of the trade deadline because they felt to me, it told me they thought, well, maybe Hagens can be that guy. Well, guess what? I think he is that guy. Yeah. I think what I've seen in 4 games in Providence has told me he can hang in the NHL. And if you think he's going to be on the Bruins next year, so then what do we do even do? Why are we having this conversation? That's where my mindset is at now. It's why are we even having this conversation then? If you think, yep, he's the guy next year, okay, then cool. Like if you have already watched your 4 games, and I think 5 games is probably what they want to see, because that's always like 5 games can give you a very good barometer. Dean Lombardi used to be the GM of the LA Kings. He used to have this thing, and I heard about it. He was doing an interview once, and I think it was on The Sheet or 32 Thoughts, but he was talking about how he will not scout a player, like look at a player from one of his scouts, unless the guy's played 5 games. So what they have to do is they have to do a write-up after 3 games. and then they have to do the 4th game right up, and then they can come talk to him after the 5th game has been played. Because he will not listen or care about anything about that prospect or whatever they're talking about unless the kid's played 5 games. So if like it's a kid they're scouting, don't come to me until it's 5 games. So maybe we're waiting for Hagens to play this weekend.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think something you said a few minutes back is very important to note too, and I couldn't agree more. And that is, you don't want to call him up unless it's an emergency basis. You don't want to call him up strategically with a game or two remaining because A, it's putting him in a tough spot. And B, it's putting your team in a tough spot because you're not giving your lines enough runway, your new lines, or at least one of your new lines, enough runway to really gain some traction before the postseason. So I do think if they're going to call him up, they might as well do it sooner than later for that exact reason.
Yeah, because Riechel has played how many games now? Riechel has played
8, 9, maybe.
8 games now.
Yeah.
He's averaging 13 minutes a game, but that went down drastically. His shooting percentage at 14.3. He's got 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, almost similar to a certain someone in Providence. They're not really using him on. He had that 1 game winning goal. He's got 7 shots on goal. I just felt Riechel was a shotgun out the door when he came in, but he's looking more and more like the guy that was in Chicago, the guy that was in Vancouver. Unfortunately, I understand them bringing in, but if Sturm, who I think has done a phenomenal job and should get at least Jack, I don't want him to win the Jack Adams because that is a curse. I just want him to get it. Just a mention. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but if he really trusted him and he brought it in, it's just not working in Boston Bruins hockey. He's not that Hustadinov that we wanted because that's what I think they thought they were getting. It's time. So we could beat it till it's blue in the face. I want to get into some more great stuff because I think there's a lot of positives coming out of this Bruins team, and we've touched on it a bunch of times, and I never really have talked about it enough. But I want to talk about how the second line of Pavel Zacha, Casey Middlestat, and Victor Arvidsson is the best line on the Boston Bruins this year. And it's not even a little bit. They've been the most consistent. They've been together the most this year. But at the same time, they're up on time on ice by like a long shot. So their time on ice this year has been 549 minutes together. Their goals for 5-on-5. This is just 5-on-5 is 41. Their goals against is only 19.
Yeah, so you're 2-1.
Their goals for percentage when they're on the ice is 65%.
Yeah.
They score 65% of the time they're on the ice together, 5-on-5. That is nuts to me. And I don't think we talk about it. We talk about Victor Arvidsson. We talk about all these guys. We discuss how well Zach has played. We don't talk about Casey Middlestat enough, and I think I'm definitely guilty of it. And I just look at this line and I say, like, if it wasn't for this line and Jeremy Swayman this year, the Boston Bruins wouldn't be in the situation they're in.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And just quickly on Middlestat, something I've noticed about him that has been vastly improved is his puck protection. Not the biggest guy, the most physical, but he protects pucks really well. And I think the biggest thing for this line court was when Marco Sturm put Pavel Zacha at center, because the year started off with Middlestat at center. It was the same trio, but it was a different configuration. And clearly they needed Zacha to be down the middle, which I think made the most sense too. And it's been the magic potion, and they've been excellent. And I think Pavel Zacha he led the NHL in goals in the month of March, 22 points in 16 games. Victor Arvidsson's got 24 goals in the year now. It's
hat trick on his daughter's birthday. Love that.
The funniest hat trick you'll see, two empty netters, but that's a reward for a season well played, and just, you see their chemistry, right? That's the thing that jumps off the page is in transition, in all 3 zones, they know where each other are. They transition quickly from defense to offense. And I've made the joke online in recent weeks, months. I post that video from Miracle, the movie Miracle, with the cone headline in practice, zigzagging and filling in each other's lanes. And that's what the Bruins second line looks like a lot this year. It's just the funniest trio you could think of, and they're magic together.
Yeah, it's crazy because like Arvidsson coming in is turning out once again. You can even go back to the Linus Ullmark trade. Don Sweeney, for some reason, in the last 2 years, is got the Midas touch when he makes a trade. If he's making a trade, it's just somehow going to work out because Arvidsson has been good enough that I want him back. I've been saying it for a while, and I think everybody's on the same train now. Unfortunately, bench rate scares the living crap out of me right now. They say he's playing at an $8 million per year player pace. He's not getting that, people. That's just bench rates takes the average point production and how the player is playing to say what he should be getting. So, like, they're saying the max he should get is 9.6. The current score is 8. Average is 6.1. My hope, and this is just my hope, because Arvidsson seems to love it here. He loves playing for Marco Sturm. His family loves it here. It seems everything's clicking, and I always talk about players that click. Pavel Zacha is another player. When a player clicks in a system or clicks with an organization, they should do everything in their power to stay now, because I don't understand where they take the money and they run. And I think with Arvidsson's case, I don't think he would do that. And I think a 5x3 is extremely great for both parties. I think it helps him with a little bit of, hey, here's where you're going to be for your next couple of years. And it Bruins show a commitment. I understand the age thing at 32, but 3 years is not that big of a deal, especially at $5 million with the cap the way it's going. I think they have. I'm in the you have to resign this guy.
Yeah, I agree with you, Court. I guess my only question, and maybe it's just the cynic in me coming out a little bit, is I feel like this is kind of the best case scenario of Victor Arvidsson this year. 25, 26, 27 goals, relatively healthy for most of the year. I guess my only scare is that they sign him and the good times come to an end, whether it's injuries or this or that. So it almost feels like it's been too good to be true this year. And I don't want to say that and take it away from him. I'm just saying that would be my fear is, okay, are Zacha, Arvidsson, and Middlestad going to be aligned for the next 2 or 3 years together if he's here? How does he look if it's not that line? And are we seeing the best of him with relatively good health this year? But that devil's advocate aside, I agree with you. I think the player, based on how he's played this year, has shown he's a good player in the system. He's an effective player. I love his work ethic. I love the way he disrupts oppositions in every area of the game. He's a little pest to play against. So from a performance perspective this year and just player profile, I do like him in Boston for another year or two, or if it has to be 3, so be it.
I just think 3 gets that done.
Sure. I guess my only fear is what I said. And how do you view that analogy of, like, is this the best we get of him for one reason or the other?
I agree with you because I'm going over his career. So whenever he plays over 50 games, he gets close to 30 goals every time in his career, which is crazy. Yeah. But he did have starting in 2020, and then he played only 50 games. In 2021, he played 66 games. 2022, he played 77 games. But then in 2023-24, 18 games. In 24-25, we know what happened in Edmonton. He just didn't work out there, which is still, considering how he plays the game, it's crazy. So at 32 years old, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But I look at it this way. Pavel Zacha and him play like oil. They play just so well together. They play like Bergeron, Marchand. I'm just using comparisons that people can use in their minds, how well they gel on the ice. It's like they're simpatico, like they're moving together on the ice. And Casey Middlestat just, I love you're talking about how well he is along the boards and how he's digging out pucks for them. He just does such a good job with that. And it works for them because Arvidsson is a driver. He skates with the puck. He can bring it through the neutral zone. And Zacha is more methodical and he slows the game down, but he's able to, like, see Arvidsson making that move before even Arvidsson makes it. So it's working out. So for me, if you're Don Sweeney, I think the real question should be then, okay, how long is Zacha going to be here for? But you don't know that because you don't have put James Hagens in the lineup.
Right.
So
with
the cap going up so much, like I'm talking about, the cap is going so much that Jeremy Swayman's contract is going to look like he's making $5 million a year in 2 years.
Yeah.
Zadorov is going to be pretty much making league minimum by the end of his contract. if you can get him at a reasonable cap hit, and I'm saying 5 million is reasonable. Anything higher is kind of scary, but I think if you give him that extra year, because a lot of teams are probably going to come in like you, they're going to offer 2 years. But if the
Mhm.
Bruins are like, "We'll give you 3, but you're going to take a hit on the AAV, you're going to come in at 5." I
Yeah.
think you solidify a guy that will be able to play on your second line still, or first line, or what line we want to call it, 1A, 1B, but then eventually be your third line guy when the Hagens of the world and these other guys are ready to play. And it's not hurting you. He's just more of a stopgap. If I look at it that way in my brain, him and
Mhm.
Zach is still young.
Yeah, he's like 29.
I know, and people act
Yeah.
like he's like 50.
No.
They are stopgaps
Yeah.
because as much as Middlestat is playing the way he's playing, he's not long for this team. He's the guy that you eventually move on from. That's
Yeah.
just the way I look at it. I just look at it that way. Minton ain't going anywhere. Hustadinov
No.
right now is, like, solidified his role as a Boston Bruin. Pastrnak ain't going anywhere. Okay, so if we're talking about the guys that are coming in the lineup eventually, like those Zellers and the Laternos and all these guys,
Mhm.
where are they gonna fit? Well, they're gonna fit where Middlestat doesn't.
Yeah. When you think about the team up front and the forward lines, oftentimes coaches like to pair guys together. Like I see you two as a pair, and the third guy is interchangeable depending on the year. I
Oh,
view Minton and Husnudinov as a potential long-term pair. Like whoever that third linemate is might interchange over the years, but Minton and Husnudinov, I could just see them becoming a pair. I could see long-term, of course, David Pastrnak and James Hagens becoming a pair, right? Zaka, Arvidsson, to your point, something like that. When it comes to Zaka, I still would love Pavel Zaka on this team with James Hagens for the next 5 years. Like, yeah,
agree. I think he's someone who can teach him.
yeah, like you need guys that are good top six forwards who are in their prime and at a certain point, even a little bit beyond it, right? Pavel Zaka, if he signs a 5-year deal, 6-year deal, by the end of it, he's a little bit beyond his prime, but I'm sure he'll still be a serviceable player. So yeah, I look at pairs, potential pairs, and for the intermediate future, I think you could definitely pencil in Zaka and Arvidsson as a pair, and then Minton Husnudinov and maybe Pastrnak and Hagens. And
Well, it's
obviously you have Elias Lindholm and Geeky in there still too, but they could just be the interchangeable third guys, I guess, depending on how they're going.
it's funny you say Pasta and Hagens. I think Pasta's found his guy. I'm hoping Hagens and Geeky. Geeky's
Oh,
really young.
yeah,
And the reason why I say this is because the way Minton and Pasta play together, I'm like, I don't know how you can stop that. Pasternak elevates people, but Minton is able to complement him, and he
yeah,
hasn't had a guy to complement him since actually, you know what? I think Zaka complements him, so I'll take that back.
yeah,
Zaka can complement him on the ice. Krejci was able to complement him on the ice. Lindholm doesn't complement, and I feel that Minton complements Pasta.
yeah. Especially when you give him another year, 2, 3 in the league, right? Like he's only going to get better and better and more dominant. Minton is again, I want to say 20, what's he, 22? He's Padres, maybe 21. I think Minton's 21.
21.
So the way he uses his frame at
Zaka's only
21 years
28, by the
old.
way. Jesus. We ate
Okay.
some.
Yeah. Sorry, Pavel. The way Minton uses his frame at 21 years old, imagine how puck dominant he's going to be when he's 24, 25, 26, right? So I think to your point, when you say you think Pasternak has found his guy in Minton, yeah,
Hey, it's
hell yeah,
funny.
go
Do you
for it.
know after the trade deadline, the Bruins are one of the youngest teams in the NHL?
Yeah, I think they were the sixth youngest team heading into the season this year.
Yeah, now they're one of the youngest teams. That's
Yeah,
crazy to me because you look at it, like, people are talking about Morgan Geekie. He's only 27. Tanner Jeannot is 28. Kaslik, they're 27. Husadinov, 23. Corrali is the oldest at 33, and it's not Victor Arvidsson. Elias Lindholm's 31. He's kind of showing his age lately. Pasternak's only 29. Like, they're that's why I look at this team and I'm like, okay, bring Hagens in. Do this all now because you're not this is the new core moving forward. That's why I can sign Victor Arvidsson. I'm okay with it
yeah,
because Zaka ain't going anywhere. Because Zaka's going to be here as long as Pasternak's here. Because I think Zaka wins faceoffs. He is one of the best 2Cs in the league right now.
yeah.
So why would you ever want to move on from him? There was
Eh,
a reason every team was calling the Boston Bruins on him. Every team wanted him.
yeah, and especially when you think about the Bruins' promising prospects like a Will Zellers or a Dean Letourneau, those guys are still a couple of years away at least. So you still need these guys in the meantime. Like I think Will Zellers and Letourneau, maybe this time next year, after Zellers, who by the way is going to the Frozen Four, after Zeller's sophomore season concludes, I think he could probably sign pro. Maybe Letourneau after his junior year, this time next year. But in the meantime, you still need this NHL bona fide talent.
Yep.
Until these guys are ready and in their prime. So I think it all lines up perfectly. I think they're in a good spot right now, Court.
They are, and they're a lot farther along, and I think it has a lot to do with the last guy I want to talk about before we go. That's David Pastrnak. So I'm going to throw some things at you right now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
David Pastrnak is 4th in the league in assists right now. The only people ahead of him, Nikita Kucherov, Connor McDavid, McKinnon, and then below him is Nick Suzuki, who is underrated in Montreal. He's 1st in the league in primary assists at 54, okay? He has 67 assists this year. 54 of them have been direct off his stick and in the back of the net.
Wow.
That's crazy to me. Okay. He has last year he was 47% of the team's offense. This year he's not. He's hovering in the 30s right now, which is not a bad thing. It's an actual good thing.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 5 regular seasons, there are 5 guys with 500 points. Okay. McDavid, McKinnon, Kucherov, Draisaitl, David Pastrnak. There are top 5 in points per game. McDavid, Kucherov, McKinnon, Draisaitl, David Pastrnak. Top 5 in goals, even though he's down this year. Draisaitl, Matthews, David Pastrnak, McDavid, McKinnon. Pastrnak is one of the best players in the NHL, and no one talks about it enough.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially when you narrow it down to forwards. I mean, obviously, even the most offensive defensemen can't really compete with those numbers. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. And what's interesting is Morgan Geekie, I think, has gone goalless in his last 13, 14 games. And he still has like a 4-goal cushion on David, which is fascinating. But yeah, I mean, his playmaking ability is just outstanding. There's only a couple of guys, and you mentioned them, in the world that I would take over his abilities, right? McDavid, Kucherov, McKinnon,
and Draisaitl, and that's it. Like, yeah. I don't care what anybody says. You take David Pastrnak over Austin Matthews without even blinking. And I know people are going to be like, "Oh, the Tkachuk brothers." What? No. David Pastrnak is a top 5 player against the best players in the world right now. The NHL had to change their World Cup of hockey so that Czechia could play.
Yeah, true.
Because they want David Pastrnak in the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to go down. We're talking about his playmaking and his assists, but he's on pace to be the greatest goal scorer in the Bruins franchise's history, which is obviously over 100 years old at this point, if he plays long enough, right? And it's just the way that he can do it all and be a dual threat is incredible. And he can score goals in any way. And his vision, his passing, his playmaking, it's incredible. There's obviously some times where, like last night against Florida, for example, where I think they're on the power play with the goalie pulled late. Or no, the goalie wasn't pulled, but they're on the power play late. And he gets his pocket picked at the offensive blue line when he's the last line of defense and Boquist goes down on a breakaway. Little things like that here and there are kind of, but the best players always make mistakes like that when they have the puck on their stick so much, and especially when you play 24 minutes, like you said. But yeah, he's just an all-world talent, and I agree with you. I think that he's not talked about enough. This is a very niche thing I'm going to say, but I don't know. I'm looking at the picture beneath you from like Lake Tahoe. I don't know how he hasn't been marketed as a cover athlete for the video games. Like,
it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, he's has such personality, and he has for so long. So, yeah, I think he's very
2 goals
underrated.
off of Brad Marchand for goals scored in his career. Next year, he's got 929 career points. Brad Marchand has 976, who is 5th in all-time scoring. David Pastrnak is 6th all-time scoring and only playing 827 games. Phil Esposito, though, only played 625, 1,012 points. Unbelievable accomplishment. But David Pastrnak right now, I think He's sixth right now. He has got 420 goals. Then it's Marchand. Then it's Phil Esposito 459, and then Johnny Busick at 545. I think Pastrnak by the end of his career has the most goals in Boston Bruins history, and he will be a top 3 points in Bruins history as well. I think because he'll pass Brad Marchand next year. Brad Marchand's got 976 and he's got 929. So he passes Marchand next year. And then the following year, he passes Phil Esposito. And he'll just every year he's going to pass someone till in the next 3 years, he will be third
Yeah.
overall in Boston Bruins points in the history of the franchise.
And he's not even 30 yet. I think I mapped it out. It was maybe sometime last year, but I remember doing the math on it. And if Pastrnak scores something like 45 goal pace or 40 goal pace over the next however many years, like he'll break the Bruins goal record in like 4 seasons from now or something like that. He'll be 33.
Yeah, he's just under 100 goals.
Yeah,
off the record.
Oh, is that it?
So sorry, he's got 420.
What's Busick at?
Busick's at 545.
So he's at 420 and he has to get to 546. Yeah. So yeah,
5 years, 4 or 5 years, he's got it.
Yeah, depending on how. Yeah, I mean, if he has more years like this, where he's hovering
or
closer
if he's
to
playing
30,
with James Hagens.
Well, that's true too. Yeah. But yeah, he's very underrated. So is Kucherov. We were talking about that before.
100%.
I think Macklin Celebrini is going to be in that conversation for years to come as well now. But yeah, David's definitely for how long he's been doing it in a big market, no less. He has kind of been under the radar, I think, league wide.
Unbelievable. It's crazy. They talk about him a lot here in Toronto because of what he's done to that franchise and made them cry in the playoffs on a regular basis. But David Pastrnak is, I think, we talk about him a lot, but I don't think he's talked about it enough. And I think it's very interesting because I think the fan base can turn on him very quickly a lot. And I don't get if people don't realize they have one of the best players in the world on their team. But I wanted to end it on a great note. Brian, I know you have something to do very shortly. And I know that, getting up and going pee and doing things before those kinds of things, you kind of need it if you're going to be locking in and talking about, college hockey again for like an hour. But
take a 4-minute nap.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. But I want to thank you for coming by. As always, I greatly appreciate conversations with you. Tell everybody where to check you out.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter. You see it on the screen there at Brian DeFelice _ and I have a link tree to my website where I do the occasional blog. And then on YouTube, you can follow me. It's the Puck Ups at the Puck Ups, and it's a show I've been doing for the last couple of months. Just started, and the crossover with you has been awesome. I have noticed some people coming over, and yeah, it's just your community is awesome and starting to build one out Puck Ups, and that's great.
Yeah, no, everybody go check out Brian's stuff. He does a great job. I love his analysis. As always, thank you for all of you for spending your time or taking your time to even listen to us ramble on for, what is an Easter Friday. I truly appreciate every single one of you. Please leave me a like, please leave me a subscribe, and I'll see you next time.